Tonight on Debate Amongst Friends, Doc and Prof discussed Carson Wentz's injury. Also, the NFL playoffs are coming together as teams start to jock for position in the wild card. Jahlil Okafor traded to the New Jersey Nets. Hopefully, that increases their stock. And we have a new Heisman in town, and his name's Baker Mayfield. And more starting now.
Ladies and gentlemen of the internet, welcome to Debate Amongst Friends, live on YouTube and on Twitch. This is the 83rd episode of the Sports Podcast on December 13th, 2017. I'm your moderator, the Professor John Gotti, and always by my side, he is the woken one, Doc Ocean. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing absolutely wonderful.
I see what you did there.
I'm doing pretty good though, sir. How about yourself? Hopefully somebody marks out over that, by the way.
I mean, I doubt it, but, have to leave some kind of hope.
This is true. This is true. But I'm doing good, man. Ready for an interesting debate. Clearly, the people can see that we've started a little late. We had some adult obligations that we had to attend to. But we're here, and we're ready to debate, sir.
Let's get started. The big news coming out of the NFL. Philadelphia Eagles starting quarterback Carson Wentz out for the season, ACL injury. Devastating loss to a team that was pretty high octane up until maybe a week ago. Thoughts on this?
It's pretty sad. I think Jay Rich compared this to David Carr going down last year or the year before last when the Raiders were actually playing really, really good football.
Which is funny. I think one analyst actually did call the Philadelphia Eagles the Raiders of the 2017 season. So
that is pretty terrible. That's pretty terrible. I mean, they have a pretty good team. Obviously, they have a good running game. Their offensive line is pretty solid, and they have a pretty solid. I mean, he's an okay backup in Nick Foles. Obviously, he's no Carson Wentz, but Nick Foles has won some games, and they'll turn the game over to him, which of course they have no choice. But I don't think he's going to do too bad. In this article here, it says that he's ready for the challenge. I mean, this is what backups are made of.
I mean, every backup should say that. If a backup says, I'm not really ready for the challenge, I'm actually kind of nervous. It's doomed from the start. I mean, and I understand where you're coming from with that, but we've heard this time and time again. In fact, I watched a video today of RG3 on First Take talking about how he would embrace the role of being a backup to always being ready and being able to embrace the new challenges that happens if his number gets called. It's the same verbiage time and time again.
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time, I'd rather have Nick Foles at this point than somebody like RG3, or let's say even in the New York Giants. I'd rather have Nick Foles than freaking Geno Smith.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's almost like in Carolina, they have Derek Anderson. We'll take Derek Anderson because he's going to be able to win you one or two games.
Yep.
The one thing I don't know is that can Nick Foles catapult the Eagles into a Super Bowl? And that's where it gets to be a little tricky. Can he beat these playoff teams? Can he beat a team like the Vikings if necessary? You have a hot Rams team coming in. You might have a hot, basically any other team but the Bucs from the NFC South coming in that might come in and actually play some good football. So, can Nick Foles step up and do this? I'm not sold. I'm going to call the Philadelphia Eagles the new Chiefs of the NFC.
Wow. The new Chiefs. There's absolutely
They,
no quarters given there. I mean, heading towards as we head towards the playoffs, of course they're going to make it. I mean, they're 11-2 right now, heading into
right.
this weekend's game. I mean, will they fall out and be? It's hard for them not to win the division. They pretty much got the division on lock.
Absolutely.
You know, like they're basically pulling a ooh, so,
Oh my goodness.
and locking this whole thing down. But I mean, once it hits the playoffs, I mean, they have to tip their hats on that defense and that run game. If that run game can stay the way that they're doing, Jay Ajayi, LeGarrette Blount, and the other guy, I forgot his name right now, isn't it Smallwood?
Smallwood, that's correct.
So if them plus that, dynamic defense as well as their special team too, which I don't think they really get enough love. But if they can carry those three elements, they can definitely make a run.
I mean, if they keep the game pretty simple for Nick Foles, maybe, but I mean, I just feel like Nick Foles looks a lot like Alex Smith out there.
Wow.
Just being honest.
Wow.
I mean, I'm just being honest. I don't know how Carson Wentz came with his growth this particular offseason and what he did to get so much better. Maybe he just bought into the system a little more, but he has become a great starting quarterback for this team, and I just think they lose a lot without him.
I will agree with that. We definitely hope that he has a quick recovery. I mean, and just good luck to the Eagles. One thing I will note is other teams who are trying to get into the playoffs, a certain team with a star have been talking about, and granted, the two team fan bases go back to back with each other. When a guy named Romo went down,
right,
Eagle fans pretty much got onto it, and then now the Cowboy fans are doing the same thing too. And I understand, little jabs and whatnot. That's just the way sports are, but not when the guy's injured like that. Like you don't even know if he's gonna come back and play the game again. Like,
yeah.
And that's just something that I always just call Bush League, but that's just me.
And I mean, and of course, we can definitely move on to the playoffs. I mean, I know you mentioned the Cowboys, who are clearly, quote unquote, still in the hunt. I'm going to throw the air quotes up there, still in the hunt.
I mean, 7-6. They have to, according to what they were saying, they need a lot of help to make it to the playoffs.
Right.
Like, the stars have to be aligned for them to make the playoffs, and that's not trying to badmouth them. That's me telling them the facts. They need to win out, and they need a lot of teams to lose.
The three teams ahead of them right now, of course, the Seahawks, the Lions, and the Packers. I mean, especially now we're talking about Aaron Rodgers coming back, and that's a bad man.
That's
right
a bad man.
And I mean, he's going to want to make the playoffs and win. So, I mean, I could see them now without even looking at their schedule. I could see them winning at least 2 more games, and finishing 9-7. But the Cowboys, I just don't see them winning all these games without Zeke. I know they won the last game against the Giants and they're celebrating their Super Bowl. But
okay, I'm so glad you mentioned that. What? What?
Yikes.
Was I not the only person who was like, why are you celebrating? What are you celebrating?
Beating the Giants is an amazing feat.
Really? Really?
Yeah.
No,
I mean,
it's
the
not.
Bucks, even the Bucks did it.
Well, I mean, we can't talk about your Bucks. I mean, obviously, all they want to do is eat W's and...
and we've done nothing but eat L's. Countless ones.
But they're acting like that they beat, the Eagles in Philadelphia or the Patriots in Foxborough. Like, they beat the Giants, who were 2-11.
This is true. Fighting for the number 1 pick in the draft.
Exactly.
I don't know. I mean, I definitely understand, man. It's definitely confusing. But celebrated, I guess, because it keeps them in the playoff hunt. If they would have lost, it would have been really bad, embarrassing. And I guess even you're saying that Jason Garrett won't get fired even after a game if they
No.
lost a game like that. So, I mean, it's something to give them hope. Because I think it's because it keeps them in the hunt.
And
Of course,
and they are. They're behind the Packers, who's also
right.
7-6, who had a heck of a game against the Browns.
Which is pretty sad that they were struggling. And I think that's why Aaron Rodgers is really coming back. Like, he was sitting there like, is he serious right now? Is he serious? Is he struggling against the Browns right now? Oh, no, he didn't.
Well, I
You
mean,
know what?
to be fair, it wasn't
To be
just the
fair,
quarterback who struggled against that very same team.
I don't think Aaron
That
Rodgers did.
defense,
I think he just wants to play. He
he
just wants to
just.
play.
Do you blame him though?
No, I don't. He just wants to play. And, even the other quarterbacks, let's look at even the Detroit Lions. I mean, Matt Stafford, even with a bad hand, destroyed the Bucks. So, I mean,
Yeah,
actually, you know what? I can't even say he destroyed us because, we were in these last two games with the Packers and the Lions. And, I mean, we kind of just let them off the hook. So, I mean, they're playoff teams, clearly,
of
you
course.
know, and it shows. The discrepancy shows, the disparity, excuse me, shows in the way that they play. I really think if I'm anybody, I'm worried more about the Seahawks in the hunt. Um, the only thing is that the teams that are in the wild card right now are playing so well, but someone in the NFC South is going to lose because I think they play each other somewhere down the line here.
Yes.
So that's where it gets a little rough. And I think that's what's going to have the Seahawks sneak into the playoffs. And I think the Cowboys are going to be out soon and very soon.
They need a lot of help, but still talking about them. You want to talk about one particular game, an NFC South divisional game, the Atlanta Falcons against the New Orleans Saints. The ending of that game definitely lit a flame underneath the dock.
Yeah, I hated it because here we are. We're in the fourth quarter. I think there was like 50 some odd seconds left.
Mm-hmm.
And, okay, there was a fumble on the play, and the refs weren't really paying attention. But I mean, I give I give Sean Payton all the credit in the world trying to get this time out, and the referees like not paying attention, and I guess they gave him a sideline warning. And after that sideline warning, he was like, "Man, I'm trying to call a timeout. You're not paying attention. What's your name?"
Oh
Like,
no!
he went there with it. So, Tony, so it's kind of like,
What's your name? Ezekiel.
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 Yeah, that's a stupid name.
That's a stupid name.
But it was kind of weird because then the ref threw a flag on Sean Payton, which basically ended the game. And I just thought it was so stupid and petty. And I was so mad at the end of the game. It was just disappointing, honestly. And just looking also at the beginning of the game, when they knocked out Kamara.
Yep, Alvin Kamara.
Yeah, I mean it was of course a good play. Teaches the kids out there not to put your head down, but ultimately, I just believe that the end of the game was just really, really Bush League, and that was unbelievable. I would hate as a referee, as a player, as a coach, as anybody at the actual stadium, I would have felt cheated.
All I gotta say is be glad it's not a soccer game overseas. That's all I gotta say there.
Oh my goodness. You should imagine.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness. How ridiculous. But yeah, that's how I felt at the end of that game. I just felt slighted just a little bit because of the ending. But other
Absolutely.
than that, the game was pretty good. And Yeah. I mean, I guess sticking with, Monday nights and Thursday night football, I guess we can skip right to the AFC where Jay Cutler went back to his old self of being terrible and went out there and beat the Patriots somehow.
Well, no, he
Um,
didn't go back to his old self. He apparently became the old Jay Cutler. I want
people,
the old Jay Cutler.
people keep asking him if he's back, and
No, no, we're not using that line with Jay Cutler. That is not happening. No. Mm-mm. Don't sully that name.
don't do it. Okay, fine, I won't do it. I mean, the game was okay. The Patriots just blew a lot of
The
assignments.
Patriots were
Um,
sloppy.
but can we at least admit that there were no sideline antics? I mean, Tom Brady did curse a few times, but there were no sideline antics. Um, in which, of course, we talked about last week with the you know a situation with Josh McDaniels. Which after the show, I did listen to First Take, and I think I listened to uh, Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp.
Undisputed.
Yeah, I think what's his name was on the show. Eric Dickerson was on the show giving giving Tom Brady a pass,
He is
and
giving Tom Brady a pass.
Shannon Sharp was like, "How is it different?" How Shannon, how was it different?
How is different? Skip. Skip.
Yeah, and he said, that Tom Brady doesn't do it all the time, and that was really, and that's kind of the argument that I was making. But I guess one time is too many, especially they were pointing out that he yells at his teammates and stuff like that, and that's kind of not his job. His job is to play quarterback, and that's what he should do. Because they were talking about Taekwon Underwood, which, if many
Yes.
people remember, he's the one with the high top fade. And I think he might have played in 2 games, but after that particular yelling, 7 games,
Six.
6 games. I thought there was another finger up there. Chris, come on. He was basically removed from the team, but they just didn't look good, and I would hate to be them going into the playoffs. And now, to the professor's delight, they have gone out and signed a New Jersey native
Oh, that isn't to my delight.
in Kenny Britt to try and, I guess, decrease the wide receiver woes that they had. I mean, who knows if Gronk is going to go down, and I guess they don't have time.
Gronk did go down.
No, I mean, who knows if he's? I mean, he's really suspended because of that cheap shot that he took.
Yes.
But I mean, imagine if he goes down in the playoffs, similar to how he went down last year.
Well,
then,
pulling a Kevin Love.
I mean, I feel like he pulls a Kevin Love every year.
Dang.
I mean, it's been a couple years. Every few years, he pulls a couple. Remember, he was at the wrestling event. They caught him partying. Like, I feel like he's always doing these
When doesn't he
things.
party though?
I mean, I guess.
I
should
mean,
be
he
partying right
always
now.
he's always has to be hype.
Bro.
But
It was a
yeah,
good
I mean,
game, though.
as we're heading into the playoffs, I mean, their biggest contenders and so far the best looking team is the Steelers, who, I mean, we're just gonna talk about the MVPs, and for all consensus basis, we're gonna say Carson Wentz definitely has the one of the best resumes to be the MVP.
Now we're going
But
to table it now. We're going to table it and really go back and evaluate some of the players.
But keeping on the Steelers, there is a strong case to make Antonio Brown the MVP. The first time it will not go to a running back or a quarterback. I like the sounds of that. Greg Jennings was mentioning that on the NFL Network. He was like, why not give the wide receiver some love? Antonio Brown is having, Madden level types of numbers.
I'll have to see it. I definitely will have to go and take a look at the numbers here. But, I mean, they're definitely winning, and that's a part of the equation.
Just watch the highlights against the Ravens from Sunday night.
So let me tell you about
Just
this
absolutely
Ravens game.
torching them.
Let me tell you about this Ravens games from Sunday night. So the doc, was watching the game, just like a lot of other people in the world, It was getting late, and Monday morning is creeping around. The crew, the rooster is resting his windpipes to cockle doodle doo Monday morning to wake us all up. And the doc said, you know what? I'm going to turn this game off. It looks like it's over. The Ravens just went up by 11. The doc's wife says, oh, who won the game? I say, you know what? It looks like the Ravens just won the game. The doc woke up, and the Steelers done won this game.
Yep.
And I said, you got to be kidding me.
Nope.
You got to be kidding me. So to say that I was pretty shocked that the Steelers came back and won the game is an understatement. So, I mean, they're looking like a Super Bowl team. They're looking like the only Super Bowl team in the AFC right now. If they don't blow it to a team, and I'm going to just say this, like the Jacksonville Jaguars, as weird as that's going to sound, if they don't blow it to a team like that, then they'll be in the Super Bowl.
I would say the Jacksonville Jaguars are the only team in the NFL, possibly the NFL, that one of the top 2 seeds do not want to play.
I would agree with that. They're tough. It's funny because history is kind of repeating itself, where Tom Coughlin takes over or comes into the team and they make it to the playoffs. Who would have thought that Blake Bortles would have a 9-4 record? But shout out to them for turning it around, and teams are gonna have to basically start making some adjustments.
People were comparing it to the Mark Sanchez-led New York Jets that made it to 2 AFC Championship games.
I don't know if we can compare it to Mr. Butt Fumble himself.
This is before the Butt Fumble.
It was before the Butt Fumble. Blake Bortles, he really wasn't a quality quarterback. Throughout the beginning of the year, people were talking about benching him, replacing him with Chad Henne, bringing in Kaepernick, drafting a quarterback in the draft. He was getting hit from all cylinders. To now being 9-4, one game away from 10-4. And I don't know when the last time.
That is a great question.
Went 10-4, if they've ever gone 10-4.
I think they did before.
What I mean? Probably some 10 or 12 years ago, something ridiculous, something that Chris would have to look up and post on our social media pages at Debate Amongst Fred. Check out TL Double or at Ken86 on Twitter. And if you definitely know offhand, please feel free to put it in the chat also.
Put it in the chat.
But, looking at the other teams, obviously the Dukes, Titans are sitting at 8-5. They're currently in the playoffs. The Alex Smith-led Chiefs, who had a complete meltdown over the year, are 7-6. The AFC is kind of wide open. Because any of these teams at the bottom can kind of sneak in here. Even that terrible Marvin Lewis-led Bengals could kind of sneak in the playoffs if the cards align.
He went correctly. There.
I'm just saying. Of course, Jay Richards' Raiders are hanging on. And then you have the Ravens and the Chargers.
All right. Chris gave me word the last time the Jacksonville Jaguars had a 10-win season was in 2007. They were 11-5.
I figured it was 10 years ago. And I think that was, a pretty good team.
I remember that year. That was the year of the Eli.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Oh, goodness. Shout outs to little brother Gotti. Can't believe you just did that.
He deserved that.
He did. But, we'll see what happens. Hopefully they don't get bounced out of the playoffs in the first round. I would like to see a new champion, personally. I like seeing new champions.
I enjoy seeing new champions as well, too, especially in football. I enjoy seeing that.
A Super Bowl between, the Eagles or the Vikings or even somebody from the NFC South again. Or, heck, a Rams versus the Jaguars Super Bowl would be great to me.
That would be awesome. That would be a great defensive-driven game.
I would love that.
That's very old school. I would love it.
Yeah, that would be good.
That would be big money right there.
Two young
Unfortunately,
quarterbacks.
the referees are not going to allow that to happen.
That's true. Yeah, I can definitely concur with that.
I'm calling that
Uh,
right now.
that's true. But it would be a guy can dream, though. A guy can dream. But yeah, that's the NFL playoffs. Hopefully, we get. We'll continue to watch it as teams continue to play. Obviously, we're right back at it tomorrow with Thursday night football, um, and we're gonna continue to watch these matchups and see what transpires. Clearly, we have some other things to discuss here, so let's continue this ride.
Well, speaking of rides, let's talk about a certain Sooner capturing a prestigious award. Actually, he won a lot of awards this past
He
week.
did. He did.
Feeling like someone that I know back in high school who just kept winning all the academic awards.
Uh-oh.
But Baker Mayfield is your 2017 Heisman Trophy winner.
I mean, we kind of figured that. I mean, I think I gave him the win last week. I think me and you gave him the win last week. I think the Duke thought that Lamar might pull it out, but like I said, the wins. It's the wins, that basically, gave him the easier victory here. Lamar had a lot more wins last year, and I think that makes a big difference in Heisman voting. But I'm actually more interested in this article here, the title of this article, 2018 NFL mock draft, Bengals select Baker Mayfield to replace Andy Dalton. Is that far-fetched?
I mean, I don't think the Bengals are smart enough to do something like that.
I mean, is Andy Dalton really the problem, or is it really Marvin?
It needs to start with Marvin Lewis.
I mean, it's not like Andy Dalton's making terrible mistakes out here.
It's not like the Jaguars been contenders. The Bengals been contenders. Been taken seriously because we all know somehow, some way they're gonna shoot themselves in the foot. And time and time again, we hear NFL analysts at the NFL analysts asking the same question: Why, oh why, is Marvin Lewis still employed?
I'm just trying to figure out because their team is just so interesting. Like they're kind of like ultra aggressive, and it's football, so I get it. But they're just so aggressive all the time that it's so weird to experience them. I don't know how it is. I've never seen the Bengals live, but like Baker Mayfield would drive a circus show if he went there. Andy Dalton's the perfect mix of quiet. He's the silent assassin, the Red Rocket. Clearly he has
Wait.
AJ Green. They have
Baker Mayfield's the Red Rocket?
no. I said Andy Dalton.
Oh, okay.
I said Andy Dalton's the Red Rocket, the silent assassin.
Okay. Continue.
I'm sorry. And clearly he has a relationship with AJ Green. I really just think that it has to be Marvin Lewis.
I mean, they have to start off with that. Like, something has to give. It needs to start from the top.
Yeah, it's just time. I just don't think he can win it. If they get rid of Andy Dalton, I mean, I don't know. I mean,
But does it make it better or worse?
It's gonna make it worse because basically a team will have to come in. I mean, a coach will have to come in and basically, in a nutshell, kind of start from scratch. I mean, obviously they'll have AJ Green, they'll have some of that defense, but they'll kind of have to really start from scratch. And they won't have the Baker Mayfield, they won't have the quarterbacks from this draft to lean on. They'll have to find basically the next draft class, which. I don't know who's going to be in the next draft class, but quarterbacks are hard to come by, and that's why when you get a good one, you try to hold on to them.
Mm-hmm.
Andy Dalton is a winner. I don't think he's a bad quarterback. I don't think he's a great quarterback, but clearly it's not working with Marvin Lewis.
I mean,
Yeah.
he's a quarterback who played in a pro style offense with TCU.
Right.
They won a lot of games. They made bowl games. He was still victimized by the former way that they would choose who are going to the national championships.
Right.
But, once again, we have to see what happens if he has a different coach. Maybe he becomes better. Maybe he progresses better. We've seen this happen before.
Right. And he's 30 years old, so I mean, of course, they're probably looking at, the age, but they also have AJ McCarron,
They
who's
do.
been waiting kind of in the background, to get his shot. And I mean, maybe
I
AJ
mean,
McCarron.
the man proposed to his girlfriend after winning.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, come on.
I mean, how does it get better than that? But speaking of Baker Mayfield in mock drafts, they also have stories where Baker Mayfield may be the successor to a Mr. Eli Manning.
That would be interesting, especially the fact that here we are. We're talking about Geno Smith, and I think they have another quarterback even behind them that they haven't even
Yes.
given a shot to yet. So I'm not sure. That would be interesting to see him replace him. I don't think the Giants know, but it would be interesting to see them go in that direction.
I mean, the Giants could pull a Colts, except a little bit more classier, and allow Eli to go to a team that he chooses, and he might end up going to Jacksonville.
Yeah,
That's
because I mean, it depends. Because really, all of the mock draft, I think the mock drafts that I'm looking at here, when you just type in New York Giants mock drafts, I think they have all of the quarterbacks going to the Giants.
it's like we need a quarterback, but but but
Yes, I
but
think
but John Mara, we need a quarterback.
yes, I think in one or more mock drafts, you're going to see all of the quarterbacks. Because just looking at Giants select Baker Mayfield, Giants select Josh Rosen, Giants select Sam Denard. It's like it just depends. I mean, they might not select any of these guys.
That's
They might
true.
select one in the second round.
I mean, who
It just
knows? Perhaps Baker Mayfield goes to the Jacksonville Jaguars.
to replace Blake Bortles because he chokes in the playoffs.
Exactly, and he'll be
Definitely
reunited with his wide receiver, D.D.
true.
Westbrook.
This is true. But I mean, we're going to see what happens. I mean, it's going to be an interesting ride to say the least. Of course, we have to wait. Maybe Baker Mayfield doesn't throw well at his pro day. Maybe he doesn't do well at the combine. I mean, it's definitely something we're going to have to watch. I mean, he's 6'1". You know how people feel about short quarterbacks. They always go up and down the draft. So we're going to see exactly what happens. But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if, even though they said that they already have their quarterback of the future potentially on the roster, I wouldn't be surprised if even a team like, the New Orleans Saints take him. Or, hey, Tom Brady's 40 years old.
Yeah, and they
Maybe
just got
trade him
finished.
back up.
Yep, they traded off Jimmy Garoppolo.
So you just never know. I mean, it's definitely something we're going to have to continue to monitor, though, as time goes on.
As days go by. So let's get away from the gridiron and let's talk some NBA.
NBA. Well, finally, we aren't talking about the 76ers adding another big man. I mean, this is the first time in a couple years where we're not talking about the 76ers signing, drafting, or trading for a big. They actually finally got rid of a big, which is really the second big that they've lost in the last couple of years because they let Nerlens Noel
Nerlens Noel go to Dallas.
and now they trade Jahlil Okafor to the Brooklyn Nets, and I like it. I kind of like it. I think the team. I think both teams benefited from this. How did you feel about the trade when you first heard it?
I feel like this trade right here is going to ruin the Cavaliers' chances of having a number one pick in next year's playoffs.
Wow.
And I went there.
And I didn't feel like they gave up too much. They gave up, of course, Jahlil Okafor. They traded Nick Stauskas, who has kind of had a
up and down.
Yeah, his career. And they only gave up a future second-round pick for Trevor Booker, who I think could come off the bench or start for the 76ers and give them that veteran presence. But I really do believe that the Nets should be a little better. They're shaping up, actually, to be a pretty okay team.
I mean, they have a pretty good record so far. They definitely been grinding. And once again, all this trade does is potentially hurt the Cavaliers' chances of having a top 5 pick, which for me, that's a win.
That is a pretty good win. Could you imagine if they had a number 1 pick overall, which would be ironic because it's a year when we keep, people keep talking about LeBron leaving. So if LeBron leaves, of course, most likely they'll get the number 1 pick.
Of course.
But if he stays, then it'll be a 8 or something.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking forward to see what Jahlil Okafor does. The front office of the Nets were talking about easing him into the system, probably going to start limiting his minutes just to get him into the flow of the game and get himself accumulated to the actual playbook that they're going to be running, all the sets that they're running. So, looking forward to see what happens. I feel happy for him to get out of that kind of area. Granted, he's only up 95, so...
Yeah, for real.
I don't know if it's better or worse, but we'll right. We'll wait and see.
Sometimes a restart, hitting the refresh button is what a person needs to, kind of re-spark their career. I mean, you're talking about a guy who averaged 17.5 points a game and 7 rebounds during his rookie season.
Mm-hmm.
And, now you throw in Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, and, of course, even though he's hurt, Markelle Fultz. I mean, Embiid's kind of ball dominant. Simmons is definitely ball dominant because he's more of a point forward. And without Markelle Fultz right now, you kind of can't even see how the three are going to mix. But with them, clearly they had too many forwards. And I think in this system, Trevor Booker would work a little better.
Yes.
Than Jahlil Okafor.
Well, it's got to wait and see, man.
Definitely.
The Knickerbockers.
Uh-oh. I thought I sensed the pause there. Uh-oh.
Have been playing some pretty inspiring basketball lately. They won the other night in overtime. Kristaps Porzingis went absolutely ballistic. But it was Michael Beasley who was the true hero of the game.
Was that against the Lakers?
It was against the Lakers.
Okay.
It could be said that the unicorn was balling.
Wow.
But Michael Beasley scored, I believe, 10 of their last points in overtime to help seal the win. I think that they're bringing a lot more hope to the Knicks fan base. Granted, it was pretty empty in the bottom section in the Garden, but I feel like as their gameplay improve, more butts will be sitting in the seats. I would love to go there for a game. I would love to go out there. Shout outs to JJ, trying to hook us up with that. But I just wanted to mention that because they still have a better record than the Cavs, I believe.
Interesting. I think it's pretty close. Again, the Eastern Conference is so it's so up
Wackadoodle.
and down. Yeah, it's so weird. I mean, look, I mean, you got well, I know Kyrie was a little banged up, so the Celtics are struggling, but they're still number one at this particular time.
They are.
But with the Knicks, and and I said this in the beginning of the season, I wouldn't be surprised if they made the playoffs because they're going to be playing more team basketball, and some of those young
Oh,
players.
Chris confirmed that the Knicks are not better record-wise than the Cavaliers. I was just trying to add controversy.
I mean, it's not far off though.
It's not.
Come on, Chris, you didn't have to do that. It's not far off.
Just breaking my heart over here.
I mean, it's got to be pretty close. Not pretty close, but because they just won like 10 games in a row. So after starting abysmal, I guess they had to drop some of their fat, in order to.
Wow, he went there.
But I think also in NBA news, I know Kawhi Leonard made his
Return back. Yep. Which is so
Um,
weird because people, last year, yes, he is the best two-way player in the NBA. But people started criticizing him, and I'm glad that you mentioned it, but people started criticizing him in comparison to LeBron's game against the bottom of the barrel in the NBA, the Atlanta Hawks, and are basically saying, well, Kawhi didn't do much better than LeBron. In fact, LeBron did better than Kawhi. I'm like, this is his first game back. Calm
Right.
down. Why are y'all sitting there trying to jump at this right now? Like, yes, LeBron James had a heck of a game. A heck of a game. I believe he had the highest shooting field goal of his career. I believe he shot 58% from the floor. But it was against the Atlanta Hawks. It was
Whoa.
like he was still playing around garbage time. I believe he finally left the court like 2 minutes and 30 seconds remaining in the game. So he is still accumulating high minutes throughout the season. But Kawhi didn't have as many points and didn't have the same kind of stats as LeBron. Well, LeBron is pulling a Russell Westbrook, so
Definitely.
what's up?
When I look at efficiency, the first thing that jumps out to me
The Houston
Of course.
Rockets.
are the Houston Rockets. We're playing some great inspired basketball.
They are.
Shout out to Clint Capella. I think he's going to.
Are you finally on the Capella train?
I mean, I've always been a fan. I mean, I like Capella. I do. I mean, come on. I like Capella.
Chris, we might need to go to the tapes. We might need to go to the tapes.
I said I didn't like Capella.
Yes.
Maybe because he wasn't grown. He hadn't matured yet. And I mean, I think it's because they weren't using him the same way that they're using him now. Like even though before it was a lot of pick and rolls,
Mm-hmm.
maybe he didn't roll to the basket well enough.
What, just roll
Right now.
harder?
Yeah, like now it's like, I mean, he's really getting it. Like him and James Harden are so in sync that they basically have released 5 albums at this time. They're so in sync. In sync. I said in sync.
We got
Second.
we got it. Yeah.
Bye.
Terrible. Terrible.
But
Absolutely.
with James Harden, I think he's been playing a lot more, aggressive, even with the rule changes. He's been able to overcome those and still get to the free throw line. But his assists, have been great. And I also have to give credit to Chris Paul coming in and really changing the way he played his game. Now, I know we talked about it, and I know we mentioned LeBron. I'm really hoping that the Rockets don't jeopardize or sacrifice Clint Capella's contract to try to get LeBron like we did Chandler Parsons when we were trying to get Melo. That's what I'm hoping that we don't do. Even though it was great that we didn't sign Chandler Parsons back. It was fantastic. Probably one of the best non-signings of all time.
I believe you and Steven Jackson would agree with that.
We dodged a major bullet here.
I'm not gonna lie. If the Knicks decided to try to pick him up, I probably would burn my jersey.
But if we go after Carmelo and lose Clint Capella, I'm gonna be pretty upset. We don't need LeBron. I mean,
Teams don't need LeBron anymore.
I think it would be overkill to have Chris Paul, James Harden, and LeBron with I don't know if it's gonna work because we have that Ryan Anderson salary, and then it's gonna be so weird.
Which I'm so glad that the Knicks didn't take that.
I wish they would have just taken it. But,
no.
No. Enes Kanter's been playing some pretty good basketball.
He's been playing some very good basketball. He's been embracing the New York City mentality, New York state of mind when it comes to playing ball. A very 90s-esque methodology.
But Ryan Anderson would have been the next.
No. How dare you, Chris? For shutting. Nope. The show's over. Nope. I can't believe you said that. Why would you say something like that? Why would you say something like that? I'm really upset right now. Chris, cut the show. It's over. Thank you very much for tuning in. There is no. You suck.
I mean, come on. Allen Houston.
What? Put your head back up. Put your head back up.
He could be the next,
Nope. Stop it. We're moving on.
Oh, man. That's so funny.
Another team that's been very surprising this year, the Indiana Pacers.
Even though they lost tonight.
And they did, but they beat LeBron James, so of course that's newsworthy.
Well, absolutely, but I think they lost to, of course, Paul George's Oklahoma City Thunder. So that the media's gonna make a frenzy out of that.
Because the Thunder finally won a game after 15 tries.
Oh my goodness!
I mean, they're definitely embracing the Hedo mindset right there.
Hedo. I wonder if it's just gonna take them an extra year.
And once again, stuff like that happens. You can't assemble a team like that and expect everything to click in 1 year. You get that every so often, but a lot of times it just implode.
It's funny because people were talking about Chris Paul joining the Rockets not working because of the ball dominant, but with those three guys, they need the ball.
They do.
Like Paul George, he can catch and shoot, but he's such a ISO player. Melo's an ISO player.
Of course.
And,
Westbrook, just forget about it. Just keep moving on.
He just needs the ball in his hand. So
I need the ball.
30 miles per hour down the court.
I need the ball.
Yes. That's exactly what it is. Give me the ball.
Please.
Oh my goodness, that's so funny. But yeah, I just think it's going to be interesting to watch how the season progresses.
I mean, they have one of the worst net ratings in the NBA with those three on the floor. I don't know if you had a chance to watch the B-Ball Breakdown. Shout out to B-Ball Breakdown. Make sure you check out their YouTube videos, B-Ball Breakdown at YouTube, as well as their Twitter and whatnot. But Coach was analyzing what is their major struggle, and you mentioned the massive isolation. That's one of their biggest issues. They are basically a team with three people who demand the ball with Andre Roberson. Andre Roberson? He shouldn't even pick it up a basketball.
He is not basketball worthy.
But I mean, everyone is just standing around waiting to see what happens. Russell Westbrook pick up the ball, everyone's standing around waiting for something happens. Carmelo Anthony get the ball, everyone just standing around seeing what happens. Paul George get the ball, everyone stands around see what happens. Like Paul George is shooting really good from three, but they're not running the same kind of sets to get him open out on the wings, which is where he's really, really hot at.
True. And I guess that's where it's different from other teams where you have those same ISOs. I'll say in Houston, you have three guys who can shoot threes usually on the floor, or you're gonna have a Clint Capella coming to do a pick and roll. Even in Cleveland, I mean, the talent that they've assembled there is really good. I mean, they were able to pick a. I mean, really, they can run probably a 12-man, 13-man rotation if they wanted to, and LeBron could probably get away with playing 20 to 25 minutes a game.
He could probably play 15 minutes.
Yeah, with the roster that they have, they probably don't need to play him as much. But just looking around the league, I mean, even a team like the Milwaukee Bucks, they could probably run about 8 or 9 guys.
They can.
It's just there are just certain teams that you just can't do that with.
The Bucks are number 4 in the East. The Pacers are number 5. The Sixers are number 7. My Knicks are number 9. But we're tied with the Pistons, but we lost to the Pistons, so we lose that tiebreaker. I believe we beat the 76ers, but it's how tiebreakers work. And the Cavs are 20-8. Celtics are 24-6. Raptors. Who care about the Raptors? They're gonna blow it in the playoffs anyway.
Absolutely, they didn't make any moves.
They didn't do anything, and we said that at the beginning of the season.
They didn't do anything to get better.
Meanwhile, in the West, the Rockets are 21-4. The Warriors are 22-6. But the Warriors are number 2 seed. Tiebreakers.
Sure.
The Spurs are number 3. I mean, can we even talk about the Spurs? Like, they didn't even have Kawhi Leonard at all this year. LaMarcus Aldridge stepped up. There was a great article about him and Pop being able to, air out all the dirty laundry. Pop admitting that he tried to overcoach LA, tried to make him someone that he's not, and he basically adapted to his style, and it's showing on the floor now. Kyle Anderson's been playing phenomenal.
He's no Ryan Anderson.
Wow! This is true. The Timberwolves are finally starting to pick up some steam. They're 16-12. The Denver Nuggets, a team that, people just looked at them like, they're 15-13. They're doing pretty good. The Trailblazers, they still got that dynamic duo of guards.
They need more too.
And the Utah Jazz, because I'm gonna skip about the Pelicans. The Utah Jazz are 13-14, and that's without their star player who went to Boston.
Don't skip over the Pelicans.
So let's talk about those Pelicans.
Oh my God, Justin Long.
Other than the inevitable Anthony Davis injuries, which we hope that doesn't happen, but unfortunately it's a case.
Right.
Is there anything about them that really caught your eye?
So I got a chance to watch them play. I think they were playing the Utah Jazz a couple of months ago. And actually, I think even recently they were playing the Kings, and they lost to the Kings. And their head coach was so mad. Oh, he was so mad that they let the game basically slip through their fingers, he said. I don't know what the problem is. I would think when you put DeMarcus Cousins and Anthony Davis on the same team that you would get at least 60, 70 points just from those two guys alone. But it's just not working. Like, it's not working. And then, they added Rondo. They added a few other people to the team. But I think with the pieces that they trade away, even though they weren't really that successful, they were early in their career, I think it's almost as if they should have just kept those guys and just probably tried to wait until the off season to obtain DeMarcus Cousins or someone else. It's just not working.
It's not working.
It's just not working. Like, again, going back to it, Chris Paul, James Harden, working. Kyrie goes to Boston, working. Freaking DeMarcus Cousins and Anthony Davis try to rekindle their old Kentucky flame, and it's not working. I mean, it's just not
I mean,
working.
sometimes it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work.
And this is just one of those situations. It's just not working. Like it's laughable, and it doesn't help that Anthony Davis gets hurt, and then DeMarcus Cousins wants to fight Kevin Durant. It just doesn't help. Um, but I wish they had more fight on the court. And honestly, I'm starting to see, as I was reading Coach Calipari's book, where he was talking about DeMarcus Cousins not being able to finish the drills. I wonder if he's really in shape. Because a lot of times he doesn't really look that fast. He doesn't really look like he can move. And then, of course, Anthony Davis just continues to get injured. So it's interesting, man, to say the least.
But I think that's about it. We're actually now at end show. This is the part where we provide our final thoughts for you, the people. We're going to start off with the Doc.
Well.
Tell him, Doc.
Well, the Cleveland Browns moved pretty fast after letting go of their general manager last week, or even earlier this week. It was really fast. I mean, they fired their guy one day, and then the next day they said, "Oh, let's just bring this guy in before the Giants kind of scoop him up." But they have hired the former Kansas City Chiefs general manager John Dorsey to take over the position. But the Browns, it was a bold move. Hiring Sashi. I think that he was a baseball guy. So it was a bold move by the Browns, trying to, work with analytics to, make the team better. But it's just one of those things where Sashi Brown just didn't work.
Try to moneyball on the gridiron.
Right, exactly. And it just didn't work. And of course, I'm hoping that the next general manager basically gets it right. And my last final thought here, of course, as we know, Ryan Shazier, the linebacker from the Steelers, not only was his presence missed off, on the field, but he has been put on injured reserve off the field, and of course we are wishing him a get well soon, as he is starting to make some progress in his recovery from that hit.
Absolutely.
Last week. And I think that's it for me.
Well, I'm going to start off my final thoughts. We at the Beta Bunks Friends want to send our thoughts and prayers from those impacted by the domestic terror attack that happened earlier this week out in Manhattan. Make sure that the people affected by it have a speedy recovery, and our condolences for those who have lost their lives.
It's really sad.
It is. I mean, it's just the craziness of our world today. And, normally we don't go into politics, but we do have someone who does go into politics, and that's the Duke on his brand new show, Duke It Out, every single Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on YouTube. See what I did there?
I did. It was actually kind of perfect.
And today, a former wrestler in which someone on the Debates Among Friends family should be marking out about tomorrow, but we're going to talk about it today, has been inducted into the Hollywood Walk of Fame. He has his own star on the famous walkway. It is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. It actually happened earlier today, so we want to send our great congratulations to him. He actually has a brand new movie coming out, Jumanji, which is a sequel, not a reboot, a sequel to the 90s film by the late star Robin Williams. So congrats for him. The last two things I want to talk about, they're together, but they're separate at the same time. I had the privilege and the honor of watching 32 of the best Street Fighter V players in the world compete to call themselves the World Warrior of 2017. Capcom Cup took place out in Anaheim, California at the PlayStation Experience. I also had a chance to watch some of the PlayStation Experience too. Chris, was that you? I don't know what that was. That came out of nowhere. But
wow.
Some of the highlights from the Capcom Cup. I mentioned how they had a last chance qualifier where there was a separate tournament to determine who's going to be the 32nd person to enter the tournament. Nemo of Alienware won it, and in fact, Nemo literally brought it all the way up to top 8. So congrats to Nemo. Unfortunately, he did not win. Other notable people where they ranked, Daigo tied for number 7, Punk tied for number 9, Justin Wong tied for 17th, and I'm only saying people that the doc knows, so I don't have to try to explain to me a lot of things. Ricky Ortiz and Smug both tied for 25th. They both went 0-2, unfortunately. One of the big stars for me, 2 stars. The first star goes to 801 Strider Gustavo. His Laura play was absolutely fantastic. I loved it because Laura's one of my favorite characters in the game. Just the amount of mix-ups. I'm pretty sure Mike Ross, somewhere out there in the internet sphere, is grinning quite brightly. He beats so many Japanese gods in this game. It is ridiculous. If you had yourself a chance to, it's all over Capcom Fighters. Check out their YouTube. His gameplay was just insane, off the roof. And we now have a brand new Japanese god. It is Itabashi Zangief, who was in top 8 of Evolution 2017. We mentioned him. He tied for 5th place, but that Zangief play was absolutely sick. The reads, the reactions, the shimmies. Oh my gosh.
Not Zangief.
Oh, not Zangief. He made Zangief look like a top tier player.
I'm going to have to check it out.
You have to check it out.
Grief.
So let's do the top 4. In 4th place, it was Moke, who also was in top 8 of Evo this year as well too. Nemo, who I aforementioned before, he's in 3rd place. In 2nd place, it is your Evolution 2017 champion Tokido, who I thought was going to win and was looking extremely strong heading into it. In fact, he didn't lose a single set until the grand finals, which was against the eventual champion, the Dominican Republic's own Mena RD of Team Rise. His Birdie won Capcom Cup 2017.
Wow.
Insane. Major props to him for just outstanding play. He stayed tenacious. He stayed hungry. When he had to pop off, he popped off. But he kept it copacetic. In fact, afterwards, we mentioned how Knuckle-Doo couldn't make it to the tournament. Knuckle-Doo was conversing with him, and Mena was just talking about how much he appreciated the fact that Knuckle-Doo helped inspire him to continue forward. And I believe it was at CSR earlier this year. Just give him pep talk to try to keep him going. So snaps to Knuckle-Doo for doing that. But Mena RD is your Capcom Cup 2017 champion with Birdie. He won $250,000. Make sure you spend that wisely, kid.
Absolutely. There was one that I did forget here.
I
slipped right through my little fingers here.
Go for it.
The Roger Goodell extension.
Yes.
5 years. $200 million. He did say that this could be his last run, his last contract as commissioner, which, I don't know. That He could be just tired of dealing with Jerry Jones, and that saga that's going on. Plus, being a commissioner, I'm sure, is pretty crazy, especially with the development of the players these days and the craziness of the players these days.
Yes.
And some of the deals that you probably have to work out. I'm interested to see where the commissioner spot goes after this contract is over in 2013.
I'm looking forward to see what happens with that. We'll see what happens. Hopefully, we'll get a NFL commissioner that actually knows how to do his job well.
Yeah, I always thought Goodell was kind of weird.
He was kind of like passively aggressive, but then passive again.
Right, we'll see what happens.
But the other big news that happened out in Capcom Cup, we had a reveal trailer. In fact, we had 2 reveal trailers. So much so that it almost broke the internet. We had the newest character reveal, which was Sakura, one of my favorite characters from back in the day in Alpha. She is a quasi-Shoto character. She's not necessarily like Ken and Ryu and Akuma. She has her own unique skill sets. Had a chance to look at some of her moves during the trailer as well, too. Definitely combo driven. Haha, combo fiend. Shoutouts to you. And the crowd went insane for it. But then there was a second trailer. It was the new cinematic trailer for the cinematic opening, actually, for Street Fighter V, the arcade edition, which will be coming out in 2018, in which we saw the newest roster members for Season 3. The aforementioned Sakura Kusanagi. We have the returning Blanca to many groans during the entire trailer. Then we had a brand new character named G. I initially thought G was related to another character from Street Fighter 3Q, but apparently G is the successor to another character from a game back in the 90s called Bloody Roar. I don't know if you remember that game, Doc.
Sounds familiar.
But he is basically that character from Bloody Roar. Don't remember the name at the top of my head, but I'll probably mention it next week. We have another member of the Shadowloo dolls, I guess. They didn't really necessarily confirm as a doll. His name is Falke. And then we had my boy returning. Actually, 2 of my peoples returning. During the trailer, they showed Zeku, who came out this season. They showed Abigail, who came out this season. And they did like 3 huge circles of colors. And they each showed their own colors. And then they did one more of a gentleman walking hands close together in a just like a chain gang behind a jail cell. He punched through a wall, and it was revealed to be Cody Travers making his big return with a new outfit. He is wearing a suit. He has succeeded. Mike Haggard. I lost my mind. I thought I was going to lose my voice. I had to mention it to everyone with the Basement Friends. I probably wasn't able to do the show tonight because I was screaming so loud. And then we got Sagat. Holy crap. I went insane. And I apologize, ladies and gentlemen, that I'm taking so much of your time, but this is some big news. I finally get a chance to speak my piece about this, so y'all just gotta have to deal with it. Sagat made his big reveal. I'm already calling you right now, he's gonna be top tier unless they decide to nerf the crap out of him like they did Nash from Season 1. But then again, the Doc doesn't like Nash at all.
Right.
So those are the new characters for Season 3. Looking forward to it once they start coming out in late January, actually. People will be able to start playing with them soon, get themselves a feel. I might actually buy a PS4 to start playing this game now. That has inspired me. That trailer inspired me. I don't know if you had a chance to watch it, Doc, but you need to watch that trailer. Holy crap. As well as, I guess I should throw that one in there too, the game that I I played at Evo that the doc said I should just main that game because that poor unfortunate person that I destroyed. They actually allow people to play that game. They actually have a beta version out there now for people to play on PS4, which sucks as well too, but whatever. It is the Arika Fighting Layer EX, I believe it's going to be called. I had a chance to watch some gameplay of that. Very interesting. I would love to play some Alan Strider throwing some fireballs and some Rising Dragon and some Justice Fist. So, that's going to be fun. But that's it for me, ladies and gentlemen. And that's it for Debates Among Friends tonight. We appreciate everyone who decides to listen in with us tonight. We appreciate all the comments. We appreciate the love. We appreciate the hate. We appreciate the people in the back. We appreciate everyone. But tonight's track is a new track from Marcus D, his newest album, Retroid 2. His newest album, Retroid 2. The name of the track is Flight Club. The whole thing will be coming out very soon, but he put this nice instrumental track for everyone's enjoyment. I wanted to spread the love, and when you get a chance, just keep supporting the artist. When you get a chance, just support the artist. But thank you very much. Be sure to catch us every single Wednesday night on YouTube and on Twitch at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We do apologize for the late start today, but we will try to do better next time. You can catch our social media on Facebook. You can go on to the Debates Among Friends page, or you could join the Debates Among Friends group. We are very active within the group, so if you post anything in there, we'll be quick to get back to you. You can also follow us on Twitter at Debates Among Fra. You can follow our Instagram, just search Debates Among Friends. Catch us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and you can catch us off the podcast. Listen to us as you're driving into work on any and all podcast application. Just search for Debates Among Friends. I am your host and moderator, the Professor John Gotti.
And this is the Doc, Mr. Wednesday Night himself.
And we'll catch you again next time. Same podcast time, same podcast channel. Peace and love.
Taste the ocean.